What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So this article stands out as something that many of you guys knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. The diversity bubble finally broke, and now some websites, especially some gaming journals like The Gamer, are really mad about it, right? And the headline tells you everything. Storylines have been cut. Baldur's Gate 3 actor warns that diversity is being removed from some games. But why is this happening? And wait a second, is this true, or is it that the games are going back to being games and not politically motivated speeches? Well, let's just read this for a bit and then let's just make some quick comparisons in this short video. So first and foremost, the Trump administration winning in 2024 elections, companies and their executives were quickly to try and curry favor with the president. That includes ditching DEI initiatives and policies, which from my point of view is great because DEI is never fair. You always have to go with merit and merit only. That's my point of view, at least. Merit wins. Which even more companies later joined them on, following an anti-DEI executive order from Trump. While many of these initiatives were strictly about hiring practices, the sentiment behind this shift in policy was felt elsewhere. Everywhere. With the rise in racist, transphobic, and other bigoted laws and attitudes across the United States of America. So now apparently if you don't want to have DEI in your games, you are transphobic and racist. I mean, you can already tell how this person is driving the conversation. Do you see here? Do you see how they're driving the conversation? Alright, let's continue. Now, it seems that the gaming industry is not immune to this either, to racist and bigots, right? Speaking with me in an interview that will be published tomorrow, actor Samantha Berdut, who played Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3, tells me that they are already aware of game devs who have had their work censored, as the industry appears to be bowing down to the regressive politics of Trump's second term. Wait a second, let's backtrack a bit. What happened between 2020 and 2024 when many companies actually bowed down to the woke agenda and many games included diversity, forced diversity, which was in some cases quite cringy? Do you guys remember Dragon Age the Veilguard? Do you remember that game, right? Where you have a character in a medieval fantasy who said that they're non-binary in a medieval fantasy environment, which was just so cringe. Or making push-ups to apologize for misgendering someone in the game, virtual push-ups, right? How is that not pandering and bowing down to the DEI agenda, to the activists? It was the same thing, right? But she's not saying that. No, she's completely ignoring that, right? She's just saying, oh no, it's because of the regressive policies of Trump. So again, these people, these journalists cannot be neutral. Like, if you want to be neutral, right? What's your name? Rhiannon, if you want to be neutral, then you have to acknowledge that between 2020 and 2024, many games contained like lots of crappy stuff in their games, like lots of scripts and stuff which were completely laughable and stupid because they were bowing down to certain agendas from activists. Again, you have to recognize it. Otherwise, don't be here a two-faced person and then you're pretending you're a journalist, whereas you're an activist because you're already taking a side. You're already taking a side as a journalist, which is literally a sin for a journalist. Moving on. This came up in my chart with Barrett when I asked if in our current climate they feared that a game as diverse as Baldur's Gate 3 would struggle to get greenlit now. Without exposing devs, I know that's happening. Their storylines have been cut. They'll tell me historically appeasement is really a bad thing. Wait a second again. Baldur's Gate 3 did not have pandering, which was obvious. That's the difference. That's the major issue. In Baldur's Gate 3, they were not trying to educate you, to kind of explain to you, to virtual signal to you during the game how you should behave or how you should apologize for misgendering people. Like all these things, they were not in Baldur's Gate 3. That's the main difference. Whereas you can have obviously diversity in the game, but not as the centerpiece of the game. That's the difference, right? These people, again, have no idea what they're talking about. Let's look at Clerb Score. Clerb Score had queer characters, very important, they had queer characters, and the game has been doing amazingly well. And why is that? Very simple. In this game, yes, you do have queer characters in some scenes, but it is not the main driving force of the game. It's not like there to kind of like virtual signal to you, to kind of educate you, to kind of like shove it in your face, down your throat kind of thing. That's the difference, okay? You can have games with queer and diversity characters, that's absolutely fine, but when you make a game which is the centerpiece of the game that's when the game will not have any success, as we've seen with Dragon Age the Veilguard. Pretty obvious. A crazy AAA expensive game which was completely destroyed by a new indie developer from France, which had literally 30 to 50 people. Impressive. Impressive. Okay, moving on guys. This also comes amid the revival of the Gamergate movement, which is seeing developers, journalists, and many other in the gaming industry harassed online. Oh, there we go again. So if people ask for games to not be virtual signaling and pandering to certain agendas, that's bad. That's harassment, okay? It also means we often see the argument that games with characters that are non-white and or queer will sell poorly. Baldur's Gate 3 quite obviously disapproved that, and it was reported to have sold 15 million copies. Again, look at Clerb Score. It has queer characters, but it sold. And again, why? Because the game did not focus on the queerness of the character throughout and did not put the centerpiece on that. That's the difference. Like, you can introduce these things, but do it naturally. Do it like in a way that it does not stand in front of you as a sore thumb, which is the main issue with other games in which they do that and then they're annoyed. Oh, why is my game not selling? Very simple, because you are catering to a specific audience in your game, and then you expect the gamers who are not that audience to also enjoy the game. That doesn't work, and I'm gonna show you why. So, looking at the stats, look at the data, and you can ask any AI, it doesn't have to be Grok, but look at this one. So, what's the approximate percentage of queer people in the USA? Recent estimates says that approximately 9.3% of the US adults identify as queer, right? In the whole world, we have a similar percentage, about 9% of adults, right? In the whole world. Now, of course, it can go slightly up or low. For example, the younger generations, we have a 20%, which is slightly higher. But overall, because, you know, everyone plays games, people who are 10, 20, 15, 40, 60 years old, we have, you know, lots of people who play games. So on average, about 10%, right? 10% on average of the adult generation of people, right, in total are queer. So that's the problem. If you make a game and in your game you focus on this percentage, okay, that means that you are leaving out, you are alienating 90% of your audience out of your game. That's why these games don't sell. Do you understand? Like, it's as simple as that. It's simple math. And again, people who are not queer, they don't mind. They don't mind queer characters in games, because we've seen that, you know, there's other games like Baldur's Gate, Clerb Score, which have queer characters, have queer relationships in the game. But guess what? It's fine, because again, the story is not shoved down your throat. It's natural, it's cool, it's like, it feels just organic, it's all fine. Whereas when you try to push it on down people's throats just because for the sake of diversity, that's when you have the problem, because gamers, when they see that, they're like, wait a second, am I playing a game to enjoy the game, or am I watching a virtual signaling show in my face? Do you see what's the problem? That is the problem. So guys, that's it for today's video on this topic. Hopefully this makes it really clear that it's not about censoring diversity in games. Is that many developers have realized that if you push too much agenda, too much activism, too much queer stuff into a video game just for the sake of doing it, guess what? Gamers are gonna get tired of it, because gamers don't play a game to be educated about queer policy and like social justice. Do you understand? That's the difference. If you get the balance right, you can literally make any game you want and have as many queer characters as you want in the game, and I promise you, you will sell millions of copies. But you have to understand how to make the game and how to introduce the queer characters into the game in a natural way and not shoehorn them in, such as, for example, Dragon Age, the Veilguard, which again is just the most recent example. Of course, there's many more examples. This is a big, massive hit, which was effectively a flop for for the developers, of course, EA, right? So guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you later in the next videos. Bye.